Ah, sorry. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Freddy Always with your host, Freddy. Today, my girlfriend is here, Jesly Lopez, and we're just going to have some fun questions just to throw out a video out there and have fun with it. So, you have some questions prepared for me, and we're just going to have a nice dialogue. It's still podcast style. So, microphones.
Let's do it. Okay, so icebreaker question is, if you could instantly become an expert in something, what would it be?
If I wanted to be an expert in one thing, icebreaker question, that's a good one. I would say is play music. Play music, which, guitar, piano. Those are the two instruments that I would want to. Ukulele. I would love to learn how to play. Ding, 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 ding. I grew up listening to a lot of Hawaiian music, so ukulele is probably like up there in instruments for sure. So yeah, obviously because, and especially when I actually became a Christian. Mm-hmm. When you go to church, you see so many worshipers and they all play music. So like I started thinking like, oh my God, like I want to be like them. I want to be like them playing their thing, but I don't have the talent, or maybe I don't have the patience. So I just became the sound guy. Like I'm just helping the sound work, or now obviously I'm into cameras, so now I'm taking pictures.
Mm-hmm. He's in the background a lot.
I'm in the background helping the heavy hitters. So yeah.
That's
so how
good.
about you?
That's just as important.
It is.
I would say music too.
Okay. Something that she's already an expert in, but she wants to learn more.
I'm definitely not. Just because I don't feel like I'm an expert.
Okay.
I feel like I should spend way more time than I do, like, practicing and doing it.
Yeah.
Like, when I say expert, for me, music, okay, yeah, like, I can sing, I can play some guitar, some piano, but I would really like to, like, learn how to do everything. Like, I think that would be the coolest thing, like, to be a jack of all trades and to be able to literally pick up any instrument, fill in any gap. Yeah, exactly. Any gap that's needed and just be like, oh, that's fine. I can do that. Like, I think that that's me being an expert. And I know I don't need to be that, but that's what I would like to be. Okay. So, I think that would be cool. I already told you that for me, one thing that I think would be cool is to be able to make a video of me not just singing and playing one instrument, but singing and then like recording myself.
Those are pretty cool.
Playing the piano. Then the other frame is
and
me
doing
playing the bass. And exactly.
But when it comes to that, you have to actually make the song, and then you gotta record yourself playing everything, and then you just put the video clips throughout.
Exactly.
So you know how to do that? You know how to edit videos?
I think so.
Yeah.
If I don't, that's what I have you for.
Hey. All right. Okay. But other than that, you said before that you wanted to learn how to surf.
Right.
Why is surfing a thing? Is it because you were doing the paddleboarding and now you want to be a surfer?
Well, no. Before that, I always wanted to learn how to surf. I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. I still think it's the coolest thing in the world.
Is that because you saw like a movie with a blonde girl that has two different color eyes?
No. I don't know what you're talking about.
The girl that she was running in the underwater with a rock. No.
It's like very vague in my mind.
Blue Crush or something.
It sounds familiar.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think it's because
she had a blue eye and a white eye or something. But she was like
white eye?
Yeah, I know. That's the movie that I saw.
That sounds like a zombie to me.
Yeah. No. You know, like a dog?
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Anyways, next question.
Okay, so next question. That was a fun one. These are a little bit more like...
Oh, you have more than one?
Yeah, these are a little bit more like heavy hitters.
Okay, let's go.
They're not really heavy hitters, just like reflective questions. So typically the videos that you like to do is just more of like teaching or like, talking about a story. But this is more reflective.
Okay, it's about us in particular.
Exactly.
Okay.
So the next question is, what has God been teaching you lately? And when I say lately, I mean maybe in the last, month, last year, it could be.
Okay, so I don't have a good memory because I know God has been with me throughout my whole life and throughout the months and stuff, but I can't pinpoint things. So I'm just gonna go with what I learned today. So God, I learned today what the preacher was talking about, that God creates doors and He closes them, and sometimes when doors that might look like it's God oriented, like He pushed like starting a ministry, starting something like a Bible study at your home. Sometimes these doors might look good on paper as a Christian, but maybe you as a person are not ready for opening up to that right now.
That's good.
Because you don't know the situation in life. I mean, someone in church might be telling you, hey, go ahead and do this, but maybe your mental capacity is not there at that moment. So
that's good.
Maybe doors might look like they're opening, but maybe God is like, hey, He's telling your mind, He's like, hey, step back for a little bit and just concentrate on me, and then we'll get to that point later in life.
Yeah, that's good. I feel like for me, that's actually something that I can...
And when I say concentrate on me, I'm talking about just concentrate on God.
Right. Yeah. I think that's something that I can personally speak to, because I did feel like in the last... It's been like a year and a half. There was a moment in time when I had like this dream position, I guess you could say, that I thought I wanted to do, and I went to school for, and did all this stuff because I recognized really early on that I was musically talented. And I said, okay, well,
So you were an expert?
No, not an expert. Just, skilled a little bit.
Okay.
But I realized early on I was musically talented, and I decided that is what I wanted, like, I was gifted with, and I wanted to give back, to God. I went to school for it, and, if any job arise from studying music, I wanted it to be a worship leader position.
Yeah.
I knew that it was going to be hard. I knew that it wasn't just a matter of me getting up on a platform and singing. My intent was not for people to see me and to, like, glorify me. No, I did not want any of that. If I could sing behind a curtain, I would. But there came a point in time when God told me that I needed to step down. And for me, like, that being my dream position for so long, and then for God to tell me, hey, I actually need you to rest. For me, that word was like, foreign. I didn't know what that meant. Not only that, but that was my dream position. And for God to be like, hey, I actually need you to give this up. I'm closing this door for you.
That's crazy, man.
Temporarily.
Did you think about that when He was preaching?
No.
This is good. This is a perfect situation right there. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think it was maybe the way that you phrased it that, reminded me of that.
Yeah.
But, He closed that door for me temporarily. And He made it very clear that it was going to be a temporary shift for me. But that He was trying to get things, out of me that maybe I was just kind of putting in the back burner. Because I was so busy, I was lost in the busyness of everything. And, that's just, it speaks to that. Sometimes God will close doors for you, but, and it'll be permanent. And then sometimes it'll be just temporarily because the focus has been lost, or, He just needs to sharpen and refine you a little bit more before He puts you back, maybe at a greater scale than what you imagine.
Yeah, it could be that.
Yeah. And so that was really hard for me. And I know that, not for me, but not just for me, but for a lot of people, it can be really hard when God closes a door on something that you really wanted. Like, I know for me, that really felt like I was, like there's this picture of somebody giving their teddy bear, a little girl giving their teddy bear to God, like a teddy bear that she really loved. And, like, God having this big, giant teddy bear behind His back, ready to give it to you. But for me, in that moment, I really just felt like I was just giving the small teddy bear, not knowing, what could be behind His back.
That's where faith plays into...
Faith and obedience.
Yes.
Because, I could have just been like, no, I'm just going to keep doing what I've been doing. I love doing this. Yeah. But really, in all actuality, I was burnt out and tired.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that this will probably tie into the question that I asked you. I'll, answer it myself. In the last year, because of that, I learned that it is, one, important to be obedient. And I learned that, and I lost the train.
Want to be obedient.
Yeah, it's important to be obedient, but I was going to say something else. Because of me kind of taking a temporary rest and listening to God, I learned. It went away.
Next question. It's okay.
Dang it was going to be really good too.
Yeah.
But I should have said that first instead of the obedient part.
Yeah. All right. All right. The camera died and we had to start all over again, that part. So ask the question again and go.
How has God moved in your life in the last week?
God in the last week has, I guess you could say community. This past week, I went bowling with the guys at the new church I'm going to, which is a cool thing. It's always good to cultivate that, that especially, when it comes to like guys hanging out with guys or girls hanging out with girls, creating that accountability. Up to this point right now, I've been in a lot of transitioning when it comes to like going from my original church of 5 years to coming to another church that went through 2 different pastors to coming to the main campus after that church closed, and now kind of starting all over. But it's not bad because it's a bigger church and there's more people to get to know in the church. Where I always say that it is always good to go to church because you need community. So how has God moved in my life the past week is I guess community.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I feel like that's something that can be overlooked.
Yeah,
Is
sometimes.
community.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like more for people like you that you're like just like this social butterfly. Not all the time, but in comparison to me, he's definitely the social butterfly.
Yeah.
And it's easy for you to connect with people.
Yeah.
I feel like
I just have conversations with people.
Right,
and
but
they come to me and they
easy.
talk.
It's easy for you. So when like those moments like that, those experiences might be easier for you to overlook than it is for me.
Yeah.
Because like, okay, yeah, you have your group of friends and you're like, you're just social. It's easy for you to talk to people. But I'm like the complete opposite. I'm antisocial. I like to be alone. But now in this season, I am realizing the importance of having community, having friends, having people that you can reach out to, that you can be real with and say, hey, I'm not okay. Hey, I'm struggling with this. Hey, can you pray for me? Can you walk with me through this tough season? I'm really struggling with this. I need you to encourage me. Having somebody that can just be there for you and like remind you of, hey, this is what the Bible says. This is what the Word says. This is what Jesus says. I've been praying about you and the Holy Spirit told me to tell you this. Like that's so powerful and important to have in your life. And I'm realizing it now. It took me only 28 years almost.
Personally, me, I don't know because if it's just guys or it's just me, but I still haven't got to that point where I just ask for prayer casually, like, hey, can you pray for this? Can you pray for that? Sometimes I feel I put myself in situations where like I feel like it's just me and God and that's it. I don't make my life kind of inclusive because as guys sometimes we try to hide our emotions. So it's just like, all right, you're cool, you're there, but it's just me and my house and God, and we're connecting, which there is a place, a time and place for that. But sometimes God could be using that vessel of the Holy Spirit and the guy next to you in church, the community, to speak a word over you.
Right.
So yeah.
I feel like that's what's missing in a lot of people's lives is to have that. But in order for you to have that, you need to be vulnerable with people.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's weird that you say that because I remember when I first started dating you, and even still now, to this day, I still find it, I would say, odd or weird how open you are with people about certain things.
Yeah.
And so for you to be like, oh, well, I don't really like have that, that's crazy to me because it's like, well, dang, if you don't have it, I'm never going to have it. I'm never going to have it. No, I'm just kidding. But I am learning that, in order for you to have that, you have to be vulnerable. And that's really hard for a lot of people.
I feel that when it comes to, I guess I feel more intimate when it comes to things about God. When it comes about like weird, like things that happen in my body or whatever, and I'm talking to another guy, and then I can just say it because we can relate because we're dudes and whatever. But when it comes to things about God or in more spiritual sense, it's like a deeper crevices that sometimes you don't want people to know about. Things that you're going through that are just like okay, is there something going on with my body? I can just tell them, but then there's certain things where it's like deeper traumas where like it will be a good thing to express it to another person, but you're like nah, I just want to keep it to myself. I'll deal with it, which is I recognize that it's not healthy, but it's just I do, and then it's like I know it's bad, but I still do it.
Why do you think that is that it's hard? It's easier for you to talk about, whatever
I talk about,
yeah, whatever you talk about, but it's harder and more complicated for you to talk about, I guess, emotions
because
with a guy.
Because I talk about certain things in life, but as a kid, I kind of like I went through so many things that I just try to hide it from other people, like people in school, like other kids, because like I always, as a kid, you don't know that other kids might be going through the same thing, so you just keep it to yourself because you didn't want to be the odd or weird one in the classroom. So from the young age, you're already saying, no, I'm not gonna tell nobody because they're gonna judge me. And then you go throughout the years, and it's the same thing. You don't want to talk about it. You don't want to talk about it. You want to talk about it because it's like, okay, I'll just keep it as long as I know and I could deal with it on my own, and then I could just keep it at bay. But the moment I let it out, then it's just gonna blow up, and I don't wanna get to that point. So I just reserve it, which is super, super, super unhealthy.
It's very unhealthy.
I recognize it, but I still do it. So it's just, I guess it's still like.
So then that could be something that you can say now in this moment, or it could pertain to both questions that I asked you.
It's I'm very aware. I'm very aware of it, and I do talk about it every once in a while. But do I deal with it? No, because I don't deal with it because I feel like even if I bring it to God, and I do feel like I'm free of it in the sense that it's not something that's holding me back. It's still an emotional thing that it's just part of my life. So I just.
So would you say that you've been like you're talking about bringing things to God and being free from it? Would you say that you've been completely free from certain traumas or certain things that have happened in your past that you don't want to bring up, or that you just don't, and you say, hey, I'm going to deal with this on my own, or I'm going to deal with it?
All right, what was the question? I went through like this whole thing.
Okay, so my question is, would you say that you're completely free from the anonymous things that we're talking about, the past traumas?
Yeah, I'm free from it, but sometimes there's like I blame people. you know, sometimes, and I'm like, I shouldn't be, like, I feel like I shouldn't be mad because I feel like I'm free from it. But sometimes I start like questioning, like, like I don't know, like I could help you, but then I start thinking about the past, and I'm like, ugh, like
So there's.
I
It doesn't sound like you're free. There's
I
things that you
forgive,
have to.
but I
You don't forget.
I don't forget. It's just never gonna go away. Life went happened. So I just need to learn how to like deal with it in the moment. Like, all right, like catch it when like, oh, I get angry, and then it's like, okay, no, let me calm down because I am a new creature in God. I'm a new child of
Right.
God. So
Well, it's kind of like the. I'm sure in the word somewhere it says, and if you could find it later on, it'd be great. But somewhere in the Bible, it talks about God forgetting. I believe, or at least I've heard people say that.
yeah,
Like when we're saved or when we repent of our sins, they're forgotten. And so the Bible and God calls us to be an image bearer, to be in his likeness, to be similar to him. So that's something that maybe like you and me too, because I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm perfect because I'm definitely not. I have my own things that I'm struggling with. But that's something that maybe we both have to take on and like pray about is that, okay,
we forget and forgive.
we forgive and forget.
Mm-hmm.
If that's what it takes for it not to come back. And I feel like something that I'm learning is that sometimes some things you have to give over to God multiple times. Like,
Same thing.
Same thing. Yeah. And I've heard people say that before, and I thought that was the wildest thing. That,
because
you're giving it to God multiple times.
Yeah.
But I am learning that you have to do that. Not with everything, but there's certain things that are have a stronger hold on you and that have had a greater impact on you in a negative way. And they're just deeper scars. And you have to sometimes re-give it. Like you find yourself back in that negative space where you're rethinking and like letting feelings fester
How do you deal with that? Because obviously there's something that you have your emotions too, your own traumas, and because I know you get really emotional on your own.
Yeah, I'm just emotional in general.
Yeah, emotional in general. So how do you deal with it in general? Like, what do you do to get past those days? Do you just let those days pass, or do you pray, or?
I think that for me, that has been the hard part. For me, the hard part has been
how to deal with it.
Yeah, has been bringing it to Jesus. Like for me, I feel like for the most part,
do you bring it to Jesus,
or
you kind of let it?
I don't. That's what the issue is. And I feel like a lot of people go through that. I have a relationship with Jesus, but there are things in our life that we don't dare bring to him, or we don't even want him. Like if he doesn't already know about it, we don't want him to enter into that room in our heart. Like, I imagine our heart being the house and the home where you
have to deal with it then.
Exactly, yeah. And there's those things that just as a human, when you're going through like these big traumatic events, I was actually talking to you about this today. When you're going through these big traumatic events, it's really easy for you to act like nothing's happening. And then you deal with the effects later on. And that's one, unhealthy. But that actually goes too with what we're saying, that we don't want to allow other people and God, number one, to enter into those parts, because then it makes it real. And you have to deal with those very real emotions and things that you just really don't want to deal with. But that's what God wants. And that's what's going to really, truly free us and allow us to have an even more fulfilled, blessed life filled with peace and joy and purity, like just being purely joyful, like not having to put on a facade and act like we're happy when really we're dealing with all this stuff on the back end.
You know that now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know if I ever placed it on God, all the stuff that in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe I have. I mean, I've been a Christian for 7 years.
Right.
But I don't know if like you just said, sometimes you don't dare bring it up because like then you have to really deal with it, confronting that situation.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've gone there
Mm-hmm.
because I knew then it would open up that
A can of worms.
a can of worms of
It's not
trauma
pretty.
and exactly. Because then you have to deal with it. Then you'll be free, I guess.
You have to go through it to be
have
free.
to go through it. So.
And that's where many of us, we just kind of stop there and we just we stay there, sadly.
Mm-hmm.
It could be years and it could be till forever. You
like,
just never deal with it.
We're talking about it right now, and are we going to deal with it? Probably not.
I hope so.
That's the reality. No, but I'm saying, like, we're not going to deal with it right now. I mean, this
Yeah.
conversation is happening right now because we're having this video.
Right.
But the reality is that sometimes it's hard to, like, just let it out. So one day we might go through the situation where we're like, we have to talk about it just to, like, be free of it. Let God live, I guess, right?
Why do you think that we don't dare bring those things to God? Do you think that it's more of like we don't feel worthy because of those things? Do you think that it's because we don't feel like God really cares about those things?
Sometimes it's because I personally, a lot of times it's because we know He's God, and sometimes you kind of feel like He already knows, like you mentioned. So it's like let me not waste my time talking about something that He already knows, and let's just talk about something else. Like, I'd rather pray for someone else or about somebody else than about myself. Like I said, God has been really good. Like, all these past traumas are in the past. I mean, these past, I don't know, 16 years. I think since the moment I was 16 and had my first job, and I can actually take care of myself, has been, I mean, there's always situations in between. Like, it's funny because bad things happen. Like, obviously, my personal pastor, my original pastor, passed away. That is a trauma.
Right.
But even then, God has been good to me. And God, my mother, she went through cancer, but she survived. God has been good to me. All my brothers and sisters, my sister, are still alive and healthy to this day. So God has been good to me. I've been able to eat abundantly, as you can tell. God has been good to me. I met my girlfriend. God has been good to me. So I'm in the weekends, and sometimes when I'm talking about Him, I'm dwelling in His house spiritually or physically. God has been good to me. So it's hard for me to look at the bad things because there's so much good in my life that I kind of like forget that sometimes I forget that bad things do happen, and there's bad things that are happening to people all the time.
Right.
So, and then my past are just, I don't deal with it because sometimes it's like God has been so good that I kind of like the past is just there. It's still there, but it's in the past. And like the pastor talked about it today, that God had made us new, a new creature in God. So He doesn't look at the past. He just looks at the future. So let the past be the past. So something that we need to learn is to let go and let live and just continue on our walk to Christ. So
I mean, I do still feel like, yes, that's very valid, and like there are some things.
Had something on her head.
There are some things that, yeah, you just have to let go of. But sometimes, a lot of times, you just have to, instead of letting it go, you have to deal with it. And a lot of people don't do that.
Yeah, we're perfect.
Do you feel like it's because of you think that it's a burden to God to talk about those things when He's been so good to you, for you to bring up something? Okay.
Yeah, it's not about God. Like, it's not a burden to Him. He wants to be there to clean us from all the filth of whatever we're going through.
Right.
It's just that we personally, don't want to open that because I don't want to be vulnerable to myself.
Well, it wouldn't be you being vulnerable to yourself. It would be you being vulnerable to God.
Well, I'd be vulnerable. Well, I do.
Because you know what you're doing.
Well, I could talk to God. No.
With.
I could bring it to God. That's fine. I could do that. Just opening it up in the world. Sometimes it's like, I just don't want to. I don't want to talk about it. And things that guys do is just like, oh, I don't want to talk about it, and just keep it inside. So, but yeah.
Maybe you need to be the person that makes the difference in that. Because I feel like you said it yourself.
No.
A lot of guys have that same mentality where it's just like, oh, we're dudes, we don't talk about feelings.
So you're talking about like bringing it up to like a guy's circle and just.
Well, no, I mean like you being the difference and being like, and you being vulnerable with somebody. I feel like whenever anybody's vulnerable with somebody else, it gives that other person the permission to be vulnerable back.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, we're vulnerable with each other.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing because, I mean, in a relationship, especially a relationship that inspires, is that the word? Inspires to eventually make it
aspires
to be a bigger thing, marriage and stuff like that. So I feel like we do have a good communication when it comes to like these things that we're talking about. Sometimes not so deep because there's probably things that we still haven't talked about to each other because it's still you
can only know a person so much after.
Yeah, because I feel like there's some people that till the day they die, there's still things that they just keep to themselves because like that's just that I tell you it's everything.
Touchy subject.
But there's something that's like that's just me, and I'm just gonna deal with it, which is unhealthy, like I said, but it's just what we do. So.
I just felt like it was really important for people to see that we're human beings too.
Yeah.
And
Christian or not Christian. Being a Christian for 7 years or 2 years or a year or 30 years, life is life. The reality is that we're going to be going through things. We all have a past. And in the faith or outside the faith or in the faith, we're going to be going through life because life is life.
It's just a matter of whether or not you're going to allow God to hold your hand through it.
Yeah. I mean, think about just something as simple as death. Like, sometimes people are getting sick and people are dying and people want to pray like, oh, God, heal me and all that stuff, which is great. And I believe God and His will, He could do all things, miracles, everything. But the reality is that we are humans and we will one day die. So it's like, cool. I believe that God can do miracles and it's great when He does. But the reality is that sometimes, as we've seen in the past 2 years, people that are young and strong in the faith, they just go. So
their healing comes in a different form.
Yeah. So this video has been good. It's good for us that we could communicate. So thank you for watching. If you watched this far, and we'll make a video soon again, hopefully. Ding. No. So, all right. So thank you for watching. This has been a really good video for me and her to actually communicate. And if you feel like you heard something that touched you, please drop it below, and I'd love to like text you back, comment back.
Let's have a discussion.
Have a discussion. It was really fun. I'm not gonna say that we're gonna be coming back really quick, but who knows? This is just a spontaneous video. That's how my YouTube channel is. It's spontaneous. I love doing videos. So sometimes I'm vlogging, sometimes I'm out there in Universal Studios, and sometimes I'm sitting here in my house and just recording with my girlfriend. So or by myself. So definitely, if you're watching still, comment and say. What is one word to say? Vulnerability. Yeah, write that in the comment section. And I know you heard the whole entire
all the way through.
Yeah. All right. I'll try to cut this video up so it'll be nice and short for you. So thank you and see you again later. Bye.
Haha, sorry.